Now let's shift gears and move over to my friend Ann Pitre from the Hancock County Chamber. I always enjoy having Ann on. She kind of brightens our day. Ann, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing fine. As I mentioned when we were off the air, I meant it when I said with a small team, you guys are doing Herculean outcomes there when you think about what you're involved in. But it's pretty awesome to be there and be with that group, isn't it?
It is amazing. This is hands down the best team I've ever worked with. Tish is someone who is a natural leader and leads by example. Very grateful to be on her team, as well as Janice Jones, who is with us or with the Convention and Visitors Bureau for 30 years, and now we get to have her. So unbelievable leadership.
Hey, listen, earlier this week, I had a whole show with John Ferrucci. And as you know, he's announced his retirement. He won't be retiring until the spring of next year. But we'll be together again. But we spent an hour just talking about looking back and, kind of talking about his commitment to the community and his interesting track here, coming here early in the gaming industry evolution in coastal Mississippi, working for a number of different teams, 6 or 7 different casino companies, and of course landing there in January of 2005. Think about the timing of that, and then having to sort of start up the Silver Slipper in the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina, the commitment that took. And then helping be part of the rebuilding effort in Hancock County. But it was a great story. It hadn't gone anywhere yet, but we've been lucky to have John Ferrucci as part of our community, haven't we?
Absolutely have. John is just our A1 number one person when it comes to community partnerships. He is always the first to say, how can I support you? What can we do to make this a success? And we're just so grateful. I'm happy for him that he's finally retiring, but also sad to see him go. I'm glad he won't be leaving soon.
Yeah, excuse me. He told me that he and Bridget are looking forward to doing some traveling, and they want to do it while they're healthy and happy. And he said he might even come over and go fishing with me, which I would love for him to be able to do that. But yeah, I love John. John and John and I had a good relationship when I was at the Sun Herald. I think we had mutual respect and we enjoyed seeing each other. But we've really gotten to know each other since I retired through this show in a deeper way. I could say that about a lot of the leaders that I knew. We worked together in community, but I never had the time to really get to know them personally. And this show's been a great opportunity for me to really dive into each one of them and understand the essence of who they are. And in that way, this show's been a gift for me. But to have the opportunity to really reconnect with John has been a true blessing that has been delivered, one of the many that's been delivered by this show. And I felt the same way about Tish. Tish and I worked closely in the community, but since the opportunity to do this show, I've really been able to really dive in and get to know her better. It's introduced me to you. It's a cool thing. But you guys are busy, man. I mean, every time I turn around, I'm seeing a ribbon cutting of some sort. You've got the Stennis and Michoud effort that you guys are involved in. You got leadership that your folks are involved in. I mean, man, I say it a lot, but there's no rest for the weary in your world, is there?
There is no rest for the weary, and I think that's true for all chambers. We actually are just coming off our biggest event of the year, our Salute to Business and Industry Awards Gala. So we had the pleasure of honoring some people who have just been 100% in the trenches and grown their businesses, made major investments in Hancock County, and we were super excited to name our Citizen of the Year, John Burdecka, our library director. So It's just wonderful to be able to recognize greatness and leadership in the community.
I love when y'all do that, incidentally, because it creates wonderful fodder for this show. The opportunity for us to zero in on so many of those who were recognized in that event. So we look forward to getting some names and contact information from you. Cammie will use that list to hold those who want to be held up as an example for others. And it's well attended, but I know, man, with a small staff, you really rely a lot on volunteers. It's a massive undertaking, isn't it?
It's a lot to pull off. We had a sellout crowd this year, 450 people plus, because, you still have some people who show up. And we're happy to have them, of course. But we only have a staff of 3. So we had a team of probably 10 volunteers, plus, we had some businesses that partnered with us, and we can't say enough wonderful things about Hollywood Casino. They pulled off a first-class event, as they do for us every year. It was just perfection.
Yeah, that's really cool. Okay, so let's look for a second at your to-do list, the kind of things you guys are thinking about these days. What would be number one on that list?
Number one on our to-do list, we have our Swing for the Cause golf tournament benefiting our foundation, the Hancock Community Development Foundation. And we always have a sellout tournament. It's going to be October 1st at the Bridges. And of course, we're looking for teams. You can sign up at the Hancock Chamber website. But the wonderful thing about the Hancock Community Development Foundation is that it is an umbrella organization for 16 hyper-local nonprofit efforts like Ruth's Roots and Brenda's House, some wonderful things that are true assets to the community. And some of Hancock County's top nonprofits actually started under our foundation, like 100 Men Hall started under our purview, the Waveland Ground Zero Museum. Let's see, what else? The Hancock Resource Center started under the foundation. So it's spun out a lot of organizations that are making a big difference in the community.
Well, listen, I've said this many times before, but with Tish coming to this community, having had foundation experience, man, that was important after Hurricane Katrina. And then it's just evolved into her efforts at the Hancock County Chamber. But again, just another one of those like pockets of excellence that came about as a result of Tish's leadership.
Absolutely. That experience was divine intervention that she made her way back home. And it has had a ripple effect for 20 years now.
Man,
incredible. Unbelievable. One person can have this level of impact.
One person who shows no signs of letting up. Every time. And then you guys are involved in having your little TV effort, interviewing chamber members and important events out there. And the views are doing good, man. I'm really proud of you guys. In fact, we'll talk a little bit more about that when we get on the other side. But we're visiting with Ann Pitre, who is head of marketing, actually. And I will say a jack of all trades, because when you have a staff of 3, everybody does a little bit of everything. That's the way it works at Chamber Works. That's the way y'all roll. But we'll pick it up from right there with Ann when we get on the other side. We'll see you after this. Welcome back to the Ricky Matthews Show. Hope you're having a great day. I love the way we started this show talking about redemption and this quote from John Paul II, there is no sin that God's mercy cannot reach. And this other from George Eliot, it is never too late to be what you might have been. Never too late to be what you might have been. I love that. Anyway, I enjoyed that conversation with Reverend Scott Lenore. Anyway, back to my friend Ann Pitre from the Hancock County Chamber. And, you think about all the things you guys are involved in. What's next for the leadership effort that you guys do every year?
Well, we have our class of 2025 selected. So we are going to kick off our leadership program in September, which is just a phenomenal program. I've done leadership Jackson County. I would love to do leadership Mississippi, but these are the programs where you learn literally everything there is to know about a community and learn everything there is to know about yourself and your communication style and how you've evolved as a person. So I'm sorry, go ahead, Ricky.
No. I was just going to say, I talk about it on the show a lot, and it came up several times actually in the past week as people reflected about the anniversary of Hurricane Katrina. It was John Ferrucci that made the point. He said, can you imagine that we are a generation away from the storm? I thought about it, man, think about it for a second. That's actually true. A generation away. And what came up was all of the learnings that so many of us so many of us learned as a result of the storm about leadership and stepping up and what it takes to do this. The further we get away from Katrina, we start to forget some of that stuff. And so there's a lot of people who are new to the community, literally a whole new generation of leaders now in coastal Mississippi that were just kids. They were children when Katrina hit. The opportunity that Leadership Gulf Coast, Hancock County Leadership Program, Jackson County Leadership Program, the Master's Program for the Gulf Coast Business Council, even Leadership Mississippi that you alluded to. I had the pleasure of going through that program. Throughout my career at the Sun Herald, I never said no to the opportunity to be involved in any of the leadership programs because I loved having the opportunity to sit with that diverse group and talk about leadership and why it's important and so on. But to me, it's never been more important than today because some of the memories of what it took to get out of Katrina, we don't want to lose that. And it may not be explicitly being discussed, but the lessons learned from it from the people who are doing the presenting are incredibly important lessons. And we cannot have enough energy on what it takes to be a community leader. And you guys take that so seriously, don't you?
We do take it seriously. And, it's not the most pleasant of memories. So I don't want anyone to feel like we're glossing over it or by any stretch of the imagination. But, Katrina was one of those transformational experiences on so many levels. It's shaped me as a person. It's the reason I came back to the Mississippi Gulf Coast. So I think that it's fundamental to share what we've learned from that experience. And hopefully people will learn from our mistakes as well as learn from our triumphs.
Yeah, and I'm sure I know for a fact that through the various leadership programs, that's what we're doing because we cannot have enough people focused on helping to fill gaps in the community because there's so many different ways that can happen. I mean, just listening, for a matter of fact, like when you mentioned the spinoff nonprofits that have resulted from the foundation that you guys have, I was listening to that list that you were calling out. I'm thinking, man, each one of those have been important, each in their own right. And then others probably about to come out similar to that. But I mean, there can never be enough focus on what we can do to fill needs in our community. I mean, at the end of the day, that's one of the things that makes us most resilient, to able to bounce back from future storms, able to serve those in the community with needs. And it takes a lot of volunteers to pull that off, doesn't it?
It takes an army of volunteers, but it's like you said, you never pass up a chance to participate in a leadership program, never pass up a chance to fill in a gap in the community. It's where those gaps get filled in that end up with transformational results. That is how our foundation got started. It started as a way to qualify for more grants for housing assistance, and it ended up evolving into this beautiful thing that serves a wide variety of needs in the community.
Hey, so in the short time we have left, is there something else on that list you want to make sure you get said?
Actually, I want to give a shout out to the Waveland community. They are going through a lot of development right now. They've started construction on the 2 Marriott branded hotels. They've just opened the Tengda Hibachi and Sushi restaurant, which is located right across from that. And Express Oil Change is now open, as well as Harbor Freight Tools. I mean, the Highway 90 and 603 corridor in Waveland is really shaping up, and I'm really proud of them and all the hard work that's gone into developing that area.
It's taken time, but it's happening. It's happening. And Stennis helps. Stennis is thriving. And next time we're together, we can talk a little bit more about the Stennis and Mishu effort that you guys are involved in, which is so important. Listen, it's been great to catch up with you, Ann.
You too.
This has been Ann Pitre from the Hancock County Chamber. Listen, have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow.